The new WoW season is here, and I decided to do something that nobody has been able to do before because, well, it didn't exist before. Play the entire season with only one button and see how far I can actually go. And not only was I able to do heroic rating, but I was also able to get 2k plus rating while completely pugging, getting no help, no boosts from guilds, by just using the single button assistant. And I did this whole thing in the worst spec ever for the single button assistant on Havoc Demon Hunter with a 41% loss of damage. So yeah, it's totally possible in almost every spec. That being said, Havoc is not that bad, you just have to do a few more things to actually make it work. But should you use this yourself? Should you not? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? And how far can you actually push this on the worst spec for one button rotation? Let's go for it. Oh my god. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning. And let's get into it. First of all, let's talk about the one button rotation. What you use it for. Honestly, guys, you should use it to learn the dungeons. You should use it to learn the defensives and offensives of your class you're trying out, and to get a bit more comfortable with your rotation. At the end of the day, it will tell you more or less how it works, and at least for me, that I've never played Demon Hunter before, ever, it helped me understand a little bit better how the cooldowns work, how the abilities work, why the priority is the way it is, because I was learning it. I was using a one button rotation while I was also reading resources on how the class played. Especially because I knew that there were a lot of issues with it, so I wanted to see what the issues were, so maybe I could press one button at certain times to make it so the rotation doesn't go in the bad direction, but in a good direction instead. But you should not use this to troll other people, to leech in certain dungeons or raids. You should use it as a tool, not to do bad things with it. And this tool will always be worse than you actually becoming the best player that you can be. That being said, let's go through our journey with Havoc Demon Hunter. We started on the day of the actual patch, on Wednesday, because we are in EU. I'm on the EU servers, even though I'm not there, but that's how we started, and it was not looking good. As you can see here, I'm doing less damage than the tank, and they're not that far away from my item level. I was really from the start getting a little bit scared that this might actually not work, just because of the big penalty that Demon Hunter has. But it was our first day, and we did not have tier set from the last season. This was indeed a completely new character with just open world gear, so yeah, it made sense that we're not gonna be doing a lot of damage at the start. This was just +2s that were my own keys, so I had the chance to invite people, and instead of getting rejected over and over again, we had no issue doing this. I also did not really read on any of these dungeons. I just kind of went for them because it's the first day, it's the first week. I can learn them by just playing the game, and people were pretty nice. People never insulted me for not doing enough damage. They even, when I didn't know the mechanics, sometimes would explain it to me. Particularly in this boss, I didn't know about the clone mechanic. I just evaded all the attacks. I didn't know that if you connected the clones, you would do more damage. And people just told me, and after we actually finished the dungeon. It was super, super cute. And I feel like in other scenarios, maybe you would get flamed for this kind of things. But because it was the first week and very low level dungeons, people didn't really care that much, which is good, especially for this challenge. As a DPSer, it was definitely hard to get people into my key, especially day one. Sometimes I would wait like 30 minutes for someone to join, but after just getting a little bit more ratings, slowly getting up there, people started joining over and over again. By day one, we were already doing 5s on the first few hours, and people were desperate to get into those keys because they were a bit higher, right? So people, as soon as I got to those bigger numbers, 5, 6, 7s, 8s, people would just flood my sign up. Even if I'm just a DPS, I'm not a tank, I'm not a healer. So it was looking good. At the end of day one, I was doing 6s, I was doing 7s. and my damage was starting to look better. Not perfect at all. Of course, we didn't have 2 sets, and people had these sets from season 2, so it was definitely hard, but I was no longer doing the damage that tanks were doing, and sometimes I was even being top DPS. At least for the burst. But I was also getting a little bit scared because I didn't really understand why the rotation would work in the way that it did. I didn't really understand how the class worked at all. I didn't know why Fellblade wasn't part of the rotation. I didn't know when to use Fell Hunt. I didn't know when to use my Metamorphosis. Yeah, sure, I had an idea on how the defensives worked, but I just felt like there was something here that I could do with all these buttons that I have to choose when to press on this one button rotation to actually make it a bit better. So I went through Icy Veins and I started reading on how all these abilities fit with each other. When do you use them, for what reason, and in what order? I went through a lot of YouTube videos explaining how the class works and what to do. And I discovered quite a good amount of things, particularly for the one button rotation. The one button rotation uses a lot of the abilities you need to press, as you can see right here. They're not negotiable, but it doesn't press the Hunt, it doesn't press Metamorphosis, and it doesn't press Fellblade. And by learning these guys, I realized exactly in the moments that I actually should go for this. I realized that I could precast Immolation Aura and the Sweet Jewel to go and do a bit more damage before I actually went in. I realized that on Eldrazi Reaver, after you use your Reaver's Glaive, you want to go and press your Blade's Dance, and afterwards your Annihilation to get yourself a buff. I realized that whenever you press Blade Dance and I-Beam, it is the best moment to go into Metamorphosis because you reset the cooldowns of these 2 abilities. And I realized that I could actually track when the glaives happen depending on the souls that I have, and I can collect them myself by walking on them or pressing Fellblade to get that buff whenever I feel like it's the best, while also keep pressing the one button rotation. These are things that I have the control over, regardless of what the one button rotation is doing. So my gameplay is not dependent on what the one button rotation fucks up or doesn't. Which is funny because the point is the one button rotation to do everything for you. But if you want to learn, this is just not going to be the case. And with this knowledge, oh lord, did my damage start becoming better. I was doing more damage than certain DPS, even though they had better gear or the same gear as I did, but with 2 sets or 4 sets sometimes. And I was having so much fun too. I was really playing the game and realizing how to press the buttons. It felt great. And I was learning Havoc at the same time. And by day 4, I was pushing to get my 2k. I was doing 10s, I was doing 9s, and I was finally learning all the mechanics of this new dungeons. And of course, I got my 2k rating with a +4 because, well, I just hadn't done a Street of Wonder before. That finally got me my 2-set. Reaper's Glaive damage is increased by 50% and other physical only damage is increased by 25%. And boy, did this make a difference. Now I was actually doing top DPS in one button, even though other people were having the same item level that I had, the same set. I was actually doing more damage than them. I even tested it out and compared my own execution of the rotation while actually practicing and learning it versus the one button rotation, and I did less damage. I was doing 1.9 million single targets, no buffs, on my own, and 2.2 million on one button, which is crazy. I think it's because of the way that energy works, and because even if you press the buttons very, very fast, at some point you run out, and I'm sure that there's some things that you can actually do to make it better, and I'm sure that I am making a lot of mistakes. I need to get better in order to achieve the correct number. It was kind of insane. I really practiced for this. And AoE, I was also doing the same amount of damage, even though AoE's rotation is super easy on Havoc, at least for what I understand. At the time that I tested this, it was 2.6 million my maximum amount, and 2.2 million what I would do with one button rotation on single target. So that is around, what, 20% loose of damage? Not bad at all. Definitely enough to bring yourself to 2k, and I wonder if I can make it to 3k. But what about raiding? I was able to go into Nexus King, whatever, and actually kill it. Sadly, I was not there for the kill because I got actually trolled by one of the one button rotation buttons. I beam in the middle of the mechanic and I died. And for the Menges, I sadly did not have the damage with one button rotation or without it to actually stay in the raid. I'm not a main roster. I was actually there just as a helper to give them loot, to do splits. I got literally no gear from this entire experience. I was just there because I love my guild, I love them, and I want them to succeed and get Hall of Fame and get very, very far. So if I can help them with something, and of course at the same time get some cool raiding experience and test out my one button rotation, it seemed like a good idea, you know. It is what it is. They went on and killed the Menches without me, and I'm super proud of them, of course, and now they're going for Mythic, so I'm super excited to see how they do. Now, I wonder if I can get into those Mythic raids and see how well I can do with only one button. At some point, they'll need a pug, they'll need a bench, and I'll be there waiting. For now, though, I'm actually very, very happy with my performance and all I've learned through this experience on the dungeons, on the build. And I think now that we got to 2k, it's time to go for something else. 3k. And maybe, who knows, after that, we'll try and get 1% with only one button. What do you guys think? I think at that point, I probably will be needing guildies. I don't think it's really going to be doable pugging, but I think 3k, just pugging is completely doable. We can decide and see what happens afterwards, of course. But I'm very, very happy that I was able to do this, only pugging. And we still need to try other specs. We already did Outlaw in Season 2. We did Warrior. And we need to do Frost Decay and Augmentation Evoker on this season. And who knows what else, maybe Windwalker, I don't know. Ideally, every spec would be nice, so you can get a good idea. Maybe we'll do a tier list on what the best one button rotations are. Because yeah, sure, I guess we have the numbers, but how does it actually play out in real life, in real game, in the moment-to-moment gameplay? That's what I really want to know, and that's what I'm gonna be doing in World of Warcraft, and it's been very, very fun, and I've learned a lot. And honestly, it's been making streaming this game way more enjoyable because I don't have to sit there and just pay super attention to my rotation. I can actually read chat from time to time, which is way more fun. So definitely go to my Twitch to watch me live play this. Although this week is going to be Guild Wars 2 week, but we'll figure something out. I'll put it in the title whenever it's actually push time. But let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi like everybody here to support my content. Soydalian, Maragon, Trader Boys, Nekomeko, Tilt, Seawix, Minimart, Buttable, question marks, Say, J-Mongus, Mindbowen, Cleven and Dangit, and our biggest simp and a personal friend, Snapzor. And see you guys around. Love you all. Ciao, ciao.